This segment is sponsored by Red Mountain Mining, trading on the ASX as RMX, and now officially trading here in the United States on the OTC QB as RMXFF. Red Mountain is rapidly emerging as one of the new names to watch in America's critical minerals landscape. The company is aggressively securing strategic antimony assets across Tier 1 mining districts in Idaho and Utah at the exact moment antimony has become a top priority for U.S. national security, supply chain resilience, and federal funding. Their Yellow Pine Antimony project sits less than 2 kilometers from Perpetua Resources. In the very corridor, the U.S. government is watching closely, and Red Mountain has already added 3 U.S. antimony projects to its portfolio since September. Add in high-grade antimony results from their Armadale project in Australia, and you're looking at a company aligning itself precisely where the geopolitical winds are blowing. I'm Ellis Martin with the Ellis Martin Report and Money Talk Radio. Let's talk about where the mining world is headed and why companies like Red Mountain matter right now. Let me take a little time with you today, and let me do it in the voice I know best, my own. Because what I want to talk about isn't a pitch. It isn't a panel. It isn't a corporate update. It's a truth that's unfolding right in front of us. A truth about mining, about energy, about technology, and about the world we're all standing inside of right now. A truth that no one can escape anymore because the old timelines, the old expectations, the old rhythms, they simply do not apply. So, I'm going to talk to you for a while, talk to you the way I talk on the air, the way I talk when the mic is hot and the headphones go on and the room gets very quiet, because the world deserves more than bullet points and slide decks right now. It deserves clarity, it deserves honesty, it deserves a straight line through the noise, and that's what this is. Let's begin. Mining is no longer just about mining. We're living in a moment where mining, this old muscular dust-covered industry, suddenly finds itself at the center of the biggest global shift since the Industrial Revolution. Think about that, because the world isn't whispering it, the world is shouting it. Every electric vehicle, every solar installation, every wind turbine, every data center, every AI supercluster, every server rack humming at 2 in the morning. Every home battery, every grid upgrade, every single thing requires minerals we don't have enough of, at least not enough using the methods we've relied on for the last 100 years. The world changed the demand curve overnight, but the supply curve, that curve is still waking up with a cup of coffee and rubbing its eyes. Mining cannot move at yesterday's speed. Mining cannot operate on yesterday's assumptions. Mining cannot pretend the world will wait, because the world won't. We've hit the point where mining must evolve, or mining becomes the bottleneck that stops everything else, and that's the new reality. The old system has reached the end of its rope. Let's be direct. Exploration takes too long. 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. That's a lifetime in tech years. That's a full cycle of startup birth, maturity, and death. And we're still drilling hole number 7. Processing is energy intensive. Grinding alone devours electricity like a starving god. Refining is clogged up in old infrastructure. Kilns running at 1,000 degrees. Smelters backed up. Permitting stacked in layers like the geological strata of bureaucracy. And every single part of that system is cracking, not because of mismanagement, but because the world is demanding something fundamentally different than what the system was designed to deliver. The world moved forward. Our methods did not. That gap is where all the pressure is coming from. Changing the physics of the rock. Here's where it gets interesting. We are entering an era where we no longer touch rock the way our grandfathers touched rock. Electricity, high voltage pulse power, is now capable of entering an ore body and weakening it from within, not with explosives, not with brute force, but with precision. And that changes everything. It lowers the bond work index, meaning it takes less energy to grind. It improves liberation during flotation, meaning fewer losses, more efficiency. It accelerates leaching, meaning faster recovery, especially in sulfides. It may one day enable in situ leaching of deep, complex deposits, something once considered impossible. This is mining stepping into the realm of physics and electrical engineering. Mining stepping into the realm of controlled energy. Mining stepping into the future. We break rock differently. We break it smarter. We break it with intention, and we break it with far less environmental and energy cost. That's not evolution. That's metamorphosis. Changing, reinvention, changing the chemistry of refining. Now let's talk about chemistry, because chemistry has become the new frontier. The old method of refining hard rock lithium is basically a medieval furnace with a PhD, roasting it over 1,000 degrees Celsius, often with coal, then sending it through a long hydromet circuit that creates waste streams and headaches no one wants to permit. But new chemistry is showing up. Elegant, quiet, low-temperature chemistry. Chemistry that operates around 90 degrees Celsius instead of 1,000. Chemistry that dissolves the entire mineral matrix without roasting. Chemistry that extracts lithium, recycles its own reagents, and produces no tailings. Instead of tailings, we get 3 outputs: lithium, silica, aluminum salts. All usable, all sellable, all low carbon. This means refining can move, and this is important, to the mine itself. No more shipping concentrate halfway across the world. No more dependency on foreign refining capacity. No more pretending supply chain is someone else's responsibility. This is chemistry becoming strategy. This is chemistry becoming sovereignty. This is chemistry becoming freedom from the old model. Copper without smelting. Copper is the quiet backbone of electrification. It's the metal that makes everything else possible. It's the bloodstream of the electrical age. But the traditional copper pathway from sulfide ore through grinding, flotation, transportation, smelting, refining is long, heavy, slow, and expensive. Now we have hydrometallurgical methods that can produce copper cathode directly from sulfide ore without smelting. Let me repeat that. Copper cathode from sulfide ore without smelting. This unlocks domestic production, reduced emissions, simplified supply chains, lower capex, faster timelines, less environmental impact, more flexibility for operations in regions with limited infrastructure. This changes geopolitical dynamics. This changes environmental dynamics. This changes the entire copper conversation, and it is happening right now. Deep discovery through AI. Now let's go deeper, literally. A huge amount of future metal is hidden far beneath the surface in deposits too deep or too subtle for traditional exploration methods. And that's where AI steps in. AI has become the X-ray vision of modern geology. Not one model, not one survey, but 10,000 models, 10,000 interpretations, 10,000 computational scenarios that would take humans decades to produce. AI allows us to sense deeper, process more data, filter noise, eliminate false positives, reduce wasted drilling, and shrink exploration timelines dramatically. We go from a 15-year discovery cycle to something that fits inside the demand curve of the real world. That is not incremental. That is survival. AI is now the nervous system of mining. Let me say something very clearly. AI does not replace mining. AI does not replace miners, geologists, metallurgists, chemists, or engineers. AI augments everything they do. AI has become the nervous system, the connective tissue, the computational engine underneath the entire mining lifecycle. AI now reads waveform data to detect rock fracturing, predicts chemical reactions before a single beaker is touched, models flow sheets, maps ore bodies, optimizes circuits, analyzes leach kinetics, accelerates lab cycles, improves recovery predictions, and removes guesswork from almost every stage of development. If rock is the body and chemistry is the metabolism, and physics is the musculature, AI is the brain, and it's just getting started. Carbon storage and environmental integration. Let's talk about carbon, the giant in the room, the pressure system, the political spotlight, the environmental heartbeat. Mining is often treated like the villain in the climate story, but the reality is shifting fast. We now have the potential to use fractured ultramafic formations for permanent geological carbon sequestration, real mineralization, not offsets. That means injecting supercritical CO2, mineralizing it, locking it into the earth permanently for centuries, not years. Combine that with low-temperature refining, reagent recycling, no tailings chemistry, reduced transportation emissions, and electrified rock weakening, and mining starts to shift from an environmental cost center to an environmental partner, and eventually an environmental solution. Mining can, paradoxically, become the engine that helps draw down atmospheric carbon. This is a future worth building. The mine of the future, a fully integrated organism. So what does the mine of the future look like? It's not a single innovation. It's an organism, a living system. It is electrically fractured, AI mapped, digitally monitored, chemically refined at low temperature, hydrometallurgical, vertically integrated, carbon mineralizing, smart permitted, modular, scalable, local, clean, efficient, resilient. This is the new architecture, not a retrofit. It's the kind of architecture the world is demanding, whether we are ready or not. And those who embrace it, those who step into this new model instead of fighting it, those are the companies, the regions, the nations that will own the next century. The truth we must not avoid. Let me close the monologue portion of this before I plug in anything about sponsors, partnerships, collaborations, or anything else. Let me say this directly. Mining is not dying. Mining is transforming. And it is transforming because it must. Because the world cannot electrify without it. AI cannot operate without it. Infrastructure cannot modernize without it. Human progress cannot continue without it. Mining is the spine of the future, the metallic spine of modern civilization. And that spine, for the first time in a long time, is becoming flexible, intelligent, efficient, clean, and profoundly more powerful than anything we've built before. This is our moment. This is our era. This is our reinvention. You've been listening to the Ellis Martin Report and Money Talk Radio. This segment was sponsored by Red Mountain Mining, trading on the ASX as RMX, and in the U.S. on the OTC QB as RMXFF. Red Mountain is positioning itself directly inside America's most important antimony corridor, with projects in Idaho, Utah, and high-grade upside in Australia. At a time when China controls roughly 90% of global antimony supply, and U.S. prices are approaching $60,000 a ton, Red Mountain's timing couldn't be sharper. With U.S. government funding accelerating and a portfolio aligned with national security policy, RMXFF is entering the market at exactly the right moment. I'm Ellis Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Stay with us.